everyone, I'm Mine, and this is set number 75571, Neytiri and Thanator vs. AMP Suit Quaritch from the LEGO Avatar theme. This set contains 560 pieces, 2 minifigures, and will retail for $44.99 in the US. This set does not come out until October 1st, 2022, but it was sent to me earlier by the LEGO Group through the LEGO Master Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. So here's the first build of the set, the AMP suit, and this is, in my opinion, one of the best builds of the entire LEGO Avatar line. It's just a mech, but I love the colors, I love the texture, I love the design. The designers did a fantastic job here. Starting with the feet, they are easily the weakest part of this build. The fronts are alright, but I don't know how I feel about these just like open Technic pieces at the back. Just not the prettiest, I wish there was a little bit more there. Still, they're stable, and that's what's most important. It's just a very interesting design choice to make them like this. Coming up the legs though, I love all the different varied like angled and texturing pieces used. Like you have the grill piece out the front right here, a slope piece right here, this like triangular piece right there, and all makes it feel very mechanical and very detailed. Like it really feels like they greebled in such a small scale. It's very impressive. Underneath all that though, you can see there is a Ninjago Evo joint in dark gray. That's a very exciting recolor for that part. I suspect that'll probably be used on Cole's Earth Dragon next year, because wasn't that one of the Evo leaks is that we're getting an Earth Dragon? So I think that color would make a lot of sense to be reused there. And if a Cole Max in any of the sets, I suspect that'll use that as well. And then coming up to the body, it's actually very bulky up here, which is something I feel like we don't see too often in LEGO mechs. Lots of different stickers to make it very much feel like a military vehicle. Like these are the kind of things you'd see on like tanks and whatnot, but obviously it's on a mech instead of a tank. I love the sand green though, it's a super cool color and works really well here. Love the shaping down here too, how it comes down to sort of a triangle. And you can see there's another sticker on the other side. Around the back too, it even looks good, which is always nice to see. I love the windshield piece used for the actual cockpit. I don't know if that's new for this set, but it's personally not one I recognize. But it's got a really cool shape to it, and I hope to see it used more in the future in like more other themes. Opening that up though, you can see this little stickered console screen piece right here, as well as some buttons on the sides, and it might be a little tough to see, but there's some dials in the center, and there's just enough room to set a minifigure in there. So you could take Quaritch and slide him in real easily, and close the entire thing back up around him. And that actually looks really good with him in there. Coming to the arms, they're very thin comparatively to anything else. You've got a sticker piece right here, and again, just more different textured pieces, such as this grill piece right here. Quite a bit of articulation in these arms, though. There is a proper elbow as well as a proper hand joint. The hand I wish looked a little bit nicer. Like, I wish they covered up these studs right here, but that's a very easy fix if you want. And in this hand, he holds this large yellow chainsaw, which is a very cool accessory, but that is also removable if you want. So with that removed, you have 3 individually posable fingers. On the other side, everything's pretty much exactly identical, though there's a different sticker right here. But once again, you have the elbow joint, the hand joint, and at the very end, you have the sword, which represents like a little knife that he pulls out in the final fight in Avatar. Once again though, this can be removed, so you can switch hands if you want, move the chainsaw to this hand, move the sword to the other hand, or have none of them in his hands at all. And those are all just held on with a single individual clip, so if you want to put a different accessory there, you can. But yeah, there's lots of posability options for this mech. I think the designers did a fantastic job because this one has it all. It's got articulation at so many points, pretty much the only thing it doesn't have is knees. It's very balanced, you can get it in goofy poses like this. You obviously have things like elbow joints and hand joints, which not every mech has. And on top of all that, it looks good, it's accurate to the movie, and it's very unique from other LEGO mechs, which is something that like not a lot of sets can say. So I am super satisfied with this. However, this is far from the only part of this set, so now let's take a look at the other builds. The next build in the set is the Thanator, and unfortunately I can't say I'm the biggest fan of this one. It's not awful by any means, like it's alright, but especially compared to how nice the mech looks, and as you'll see how nice the terrain build in the set looks, this one just feels a little underwhelming. I really like the new molded headpiece, the bright orange eyes look really good, and obviously it's very accurate to the movie. The jaw does hinge open, however, there's no like easy way to access the lip. You kind of have to stuff your finger in there and pull it open. That's not a big thing, but I guess for kids playing with that, that's something to consider, that like it's not an easy grab spot. Just gets a little annoying sometimes, but it's not a huge deal. I think this guy looks a lot better when its mouth is open, but when it's closed, it looks a little bit goofy. The head itself, though, is on a ball joint, so you can move it up, move it down, move it side to side. Lots of articulation there. There's 2 of these like new tentacle pieces coming out the back, and that's to connect to the Navi's hair. So, for example, if I put the Neytiri that comes in this set on the Thanator's back, I can attach that tentacle piece to the back for hair like this. However, you may notice, as you just saw right there, the tentacle piece is not very long, so a lot of times when you're trying to do that, it'll actually pop out with a Thanator's head. This is my complaint with a lot of these sets, but I wish these tentacle pieces were just a little bit longer, because I feel like this happens a lot. You can put that back in if you really want to, but it gets annoying, especially with like these ear pieces on the Thanator like coming back. It's super annoying to try to force that piece back in there when Neytiri is actually on the build. So personally, I feel like it's easiest just to not attach the hair. Because there you can see, now I got it reattached, but now Neytiri fell back off, and let's see if I put her back on. yeah, it pulled the piece back out. It just doesn't feel like that tentacle piece is long enough, which is unfortunate. I wish that was designed a little bit better. It's not a huge deal though, because you'd still play with the build without that. It just would have been nicer if that wasn't an issue. Now moving back down the Thanator's back, you just have some slope pieces to give it somewhat of an organic look. A little tail at the back, which is very cute. And then you have the legs, which are the part of the build that I'm not the biggest fan of. They tried to go for an organic look here, but I feel like it ultimately fails. The shaping on the tops of the legs feels very flat, because the larger thigh moves down to a thinner leg and then a tiny little foot at the end. Now, it is cool that there is actual knee joints in these. However, I feel like this is a case where knee joints kind of ruin it, because it almost feels too flimsy with the knee joints. Because this thing has 6 legs, and with all them having knee joints, it feels like very annoying to pose and play with. Especially at the front, where you only have one of these thigh pieces with 2 legs coming off. Both of these are individually posable, and then the thigh part itself can also be moved. So you can get this thing in some alright poses like this. I don't know, I just don't find it a ton of fun to move this guy around. And in fact, I think that's the biggest thing, is it's just not very fun to play with. Everything from trying to get his mouth open, to attaching the tentacle to the hairpiece at the back, to trying to pose the legs, all of it just doesn't feel very well designed for play. Now, if you pose it right, put it on a shelf, and you just look at it, I think it's okay. Even still, I don't think the legs look the best, but it's much better in that sense. As a toy, though, I feel like it fails in a lot of places. But that's just me personally, though. Some people may not care about that as much as I do. But the important part is the new molded headpiece, and of course you can always take that and make your own custom Thanator with that headpiece, and I think some people who are fans of Avatar may just do that, because in my opinion that is the much better option. Oh, and if you're curious, there's what the underside looks like. Pretty alright. And then the final build in the set is this little terrain build, and this is easily the best of the terrain builds in all the different Avatar sets, and I absolutely adore it. It is so colorful, so full of life, so many different varied builds, because while I like pretty much all the terrain builds, some of them do feel very samey in areas, but no, every single aspect of this is so different. The only part I don't like is maybe like this black open space right here, but other than that, it is fantastic. Taking you up a little closer, starting on the right, you can see you have this red bar piece right here to connect this to the other terrain builds and other sets if you want. Then there's that black empty area like I mentioned. Then next to that, you have our first plant growing out. You can see for the stems, it uses Technic pieces in this light blue color, which is very interesting. You rarely see Technic parts in colors like that, so that's very cool to see. They have little green thorns growing out the sides, and then they use these trans green rocks with these tumbleweed pieces on the inside to be like the tops of the flowers. These are immediately recognizable as like alien plant life. I think they're a ton of fun and they look fantastic. I really, really love them. And then we have this rock piece in the center with all sort of foliage all over it. I like this little plant right here with the red tentacles coming out. That's a lot of fun. You have this foliage piece, which I believe is new for this wave. It's sort of shaped like a crown, and that's used a few times here. You also have this more traditional foliage piece recolored in that same color. And then you just have some green leaves coming at the top, which usually may not feel alien. However, in this case, with like all the blue and all the different colors around it, I think it works really well. Like, I love the way you just have gray rocks with just this blue piece coming off. It all feels so alien, but also so full of life. And this build perfectly captures like the environment of Pandora from the movie. I'm so glad LEGO decided to include terrain pieces in so many of these sets, because yeah, they're just fantastic. Got some dark red tentacles growing out of the ground right here. And then moving to the final section, this is another one of my favorite ones. You have like these pink tentacles coming out of the ground, which have these magenta flowers blooming off of them. Now these are very loose, as you just saw, and fall off pretty frequently, but that doesn't bother me too much because they just look really cool. Little yellow tooth pieces coming out of them as well. This one in the back too is built on top of like a balloon build. And then at the very end you have another very colorful alien planet, lots of different colors used here. This time it's an orange Technic piece for the stem with a green thorn coming out. And then at the very top you have this green blossoming plant piece with these pink pieces on top. And this is actually where you can display the Thanator in this set, because if you put the back of its body on top of that plant piece, then you can have it look like it's jumping out of the forest. That's something I love that all these Avatar sets do, is that they have ways to display the side builds on the actual set. And while this is maybe not as incorporated as some of the other ones, it still works, and I like it. And I think the Thanator looks better in this context, but even still, I'm not a fan of how the legs are designed. They probably should have just went with like Evo joints or something, but I've talked about that already. I won't go into all that again. And then of course there's one last thing, which you may know what it is if you've seen my other Avatar reviews so far, but those off-white colored pieces, well, if I turn the lights on my light box off, they're glow in the dark. So that's that new piece as well as that like carrot stem piece at the back. Always happy to get more glow in the dark parts, they're a lot of fun. So it's super cool that this set includes so many of them. But I think that's about it for the builds of the set, so now let's go on to the minifigures, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts. Now here are the two minifigures in the set. We have Neytiri and we have Colonel Miles Quaritch. and I think this is actually one of the best figure selections of the first Avatar wave. Neytiri is in an exclusive outfit in this set. The only part not exclusive about her is her legs, because there's only 2 different Avatar leg prints that are in multiple sets. But I really love the design on her torso with like this yellow necklace and like these yellow stripes. They still keep the metallic printing underneath too, which looks really good. And then that new face print is awesome with like that yellow crown sort of design, and it comes down her nose and once again more metallic printing. I think that looks absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the Na'vi figures in general, but you could go check out my Trish Souls review if you want to see my more in-depth thoughts on that. But as far as those go, this is probably one of the ones that I like more, because there's just so much detail here. I think I definitely prefer the Neytiri torso that comes in other sets, but this is easily the best Neytiri face print. It's very, very cool. Turning her around, she's got the same hairpiece that she comes in every set, and that's just the female Na'vi hairpiece. But it is very well done. I like the braids and everything. And of course, has the bar at the very end so that she can attach to the different tentacle pieces. And then taking that hairpiece off, you can see her back torso print. Once again, very detailed. Lots of that metallic printing. Wow, that actually looks fantastic. I'm surprised I like that torso print so much, but no, that's genuinely really good. And then Quaritch is a very funny figure. Now, he reuses Zane's hairpiece from the LEGO Ninjago movie in light gray. I believe this is the first time this hairpiece has been recolored other than in titanium, so that's very cool to get another color for that part because it's a great piece to get, and obviously it fits him very well. And then his face print is ridiculous. Now, it's a permanent angry face, which I'm usually not a fan of, but it does fit his character pretty well. And then he's got like the gray sideburns and everything, and like the scars running up the sides of his face too. In terms of his torso print, he's got an actual military uniform on, which is something we don't see that often from LEGO. Obviously, it's a very sci-fi-esque military uniform, but it is definitely a military uniform. The chest printing on his torso is a little bit too light, which is unfortunate, because that definitely stands out in my opinion. But that aside, I really love all the metallic printing once again, lots of that silver used there. And the overall design like very clearly conveys who he's supposed to be. He is a military colonel, and you can see that from his outfit. Take his hairpiece off, there's a slightly better look at that face print, possibly useful for customs, but I'm not sure. That's a very specific look. But yeah, I really like this guy. I think the human figures in the Avatar sets are really, really good. It's just the Na'vi that I'm unsure about. But yeah, they went all out with this guy. If it wasn't for that chest printing, I think he'd be near perfect. But I'm happy to see all these new prints introduced as well as the new recolor for Zane's hair. And so, what are my overall thoughts on this set? I like this set a lot. Now, the Thanator isn't perfect, but even still, I would recommend this set because the other 2 parts of this set are really, really good. Quaritch's mech is genuinely one of my favorite LEGO mechs ever. It's posable, it looks good, and it's stable, which are the most important things. And it's also unique, sand green. Like, when's the last time we got a sand green mech? If you're a fan of Avatar, obviously they're a pretty big part of the movie, but even if you don't care at all about Avatar, there's great parts here and it's a fantastic mech. Same thing with the terrain. Obviously, it captures the beauty of the Avatar world so perfectly, but even if you don't care about Avatar, it's just colorful and it's fun, and there's lots of really interesting parts used. So I think for everyone, yes, I would recommend this set. The Thanator is what holds it back, but also the price on this one is fairly good. 560 pieces for $45. Now this set would be better at 40, but 45 I don't think is bad at all for it. And the minifigures are pretty good too. Obviously, if you don't care about Avatar, you're not going to care too much about Neytiri, but Quaritch is a good figure regardless for customs and whatnot. And if you do care about Avatar, yeah, this version of Neytiri is pretty good, and Quaritch is a pretty important character. So yes, 100% I would recommend this set. Of course, just like most LEGO sets, it's not going to be for everybody, but this was the one Avatar set I was planning to pick up before LEGO sent them to me, and now that I've built them all up and I have them all in hand, this is easily my favorite of the bunch. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please press like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I do LEGO videos just like this one almost every day, so if you subscribe, be the first to see them. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!